And we are live. Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Juice Morning Show.
Good morning. Hi. Dr. Cindy Banyai here with Chantel Rhodes, and we're waiting on our partner,
Chantel Rhodes. Sarah is on her way.
Sarah Wilson.
Sarah having a rough morning this morning. Shout out to Sarah. But yeah, we got a lot going on in Southwest Florida. We got a lot going on in the nation, period. But
Yep. And we're here at Seed and Bean for our regular live show starting. Well, we get here around 7. We try to launch at 7:30. We're still getting in the swing of things
yeah,
on
we're
that.
getting in the swing of things. So bear with us and have grace with us. But
Well, come on down, get a coffee. You're into
Seed and
CBD. Yesterday was 420, so I think it was a pretty big day for them here.
I think so too. They had a 420 drip and dip coffee and donut combination. I bet that was interesting. But yeah, come join us at Seed and Bean. It's always bustling in the morning.
It is. It's a good time, great food, and thanks for hosting the podcast. And if you come and grab a coffee here at Seed and Bean in the morning, you can join in the conversation.
All right. So we got some exciting things happening. I'm excited. I was contacted yesterday by a student at one of our local high schools, and he said, "Hey, I heard you were an activist. We're planning to participate in protest against some of Florida's laws. You know, we got the book banning, the extension of Don't Say Gay, all of these laws, and students are really, really involved and not happy." So he says, "Can you help us out in any way? We need some megaphones." Just told me some of the basic things that they needed. So shout out to the students. I know a lot of people will be going to Dunbar High this morning/afternoon.
And this is part of a statewide
Absolutely.
walkout for students.
A statewide walkout. So what's some of the other what are some of the other elements that students are protesting beyond the ones that I just mentioned?
I do know that a lot of it is education focused, and the recent ruling from it's not even a ruling, it's just a rule change from the State Board of Education that now extends the quote, "Don't say gay," but essentially the banning the teaching of gender identity and sexuality all the way through the 12th grade. So the whole entire K to 12 system in the state of Florida is not allowed to discuss gender and sexuality, which obviously has a lot of complications if you're having any type of sex ed.
And you said that's a rule in Russia, right? I saw that on your post yesterday. So it's illegal to teach about gay people in Russia, right?
Yes.
And now we see the same thing.
Yeah, these are
get back to
repressive tactics that are happening here. It's also part of a broader culture war that's going on in the Florida legislative session, and that a lot of people are attributing to Ron DeSantis and his aspirations for the presidency.
I see. But anyway, I'm proud of those students. So a lot of us here in Southwest Florida will join those students today and, you know, just kind of support them in doing what they're doing. But speaking of students, now I got to take it here. I think I want to wait for Sarah to chime in on this conversation.
The video.
But anyway, yeah, we'll come back to a popular video that's been circulating about a substitute teacher who got into an altercation with a student. And there's a lot of debate about who was wrong in this situation. I showed Cindy the video. I'm like, really? Cindy's opinion is different, but I'm always
That's
here.
why we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm always here for it. But what's up in your world? What you feeling this morning? Because I walked in and I felt it on you. It wasn't one of those. I mean, you look gorgeous.
Thank you.
But I felt the heaviness on you. Let's talk about it.
I think, like a lot of folks right now, I'm personally struggling. You know, I think that's part of it is,
right.
Gas prices are going back up. Part because the OPEC slowdown, and inflation's still hard, housing crisis still out. We just got numbers from Collier County that essentially showed a doubling of the homeless population there. I don't believe Lee County has put out their numbers, but I know that between the hurricane and the inflation, especially in housing, and the basically the rush to sell houses and make some money because this is a hot area, a lot of people were pushed out, myself included. So struggling with landlords and funding, finding jobs. We're leading the state in unemployment. And I'm living all of that. So that's part of what's got me down today.
Yeah, I feel you. And thank you for your vulnerability. That's vulnerability is the new black. So we try to keep it real here. And and relevant and fresh. But yeah.
And I think that's important, and I do it intentionally. Actually, some people were telling me that, especially because I was a candidate, and living as a candidate and trying to present myself as professional and to look the part, but the whole time I'm living hand to mouth, right? I am, in the midst of a bankruptcy that was fueled by medical costs, right? The illness of my daughter and my ex-husband losing his sight. Those are huge components of my life. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States is medical debt. So I want to talk about that. I'm going to share that. On top of, the housing crisis, getting caught up. I didn't want to sell my house, but things happen. I got a divorce. I had to sell my house. And then I got caught up in this cycle of rising rents. So I ended up paying more for a house further away than I was for the house that I owned downtown where my kids went to school. And I think that it's a big deal. And the other part of it is, being somebody who does step out politically in Southwest Florida, where there's a dominant culture of conservatism and republicanism.
You feel it.
You feel it. Well, it's also I have a hard time getting back into the job market to get a regular job, even though I've been an independent consultant and doing things like that. But people are gun shy. Even some folks I've met working downtown here, talking about a big event coming up downtown.
Yes. But Fort Myers got a lot going on today.
But some folks are saying that they don't even feel like they can participate one way or the other in anything political because it may affect their job. And I mean, I felt like that. I made the conscious decision to get political because I think that's the only way that you get change.
Right.
I worked on the inside for a decade and got nowhere.
So you really think people are like, Cindy ran for Congress, we know what she's about, and we just don't want the trouble? You think that's where?
I think there's a part of that, 100%.
Okay, I can see that. I can see how anybody would be. I mean, if you're running for office and if you're outspoken in a way, I can see how that can play a part in somebody not wanting to hire you. But you hireable, Cindy. You badass. Like,
thanks,
and I think so. That's the energy I do feel about you. I do feel the heaviness, and hopelessness is a hell of a situation to have to deal with. But we face it, right? We face those feelings of hopelessness and despair. Yeah. And how you coping with things? I'm gonna take it there because we got the mental health aspect of it. We have to talk about how to focus ourselves in a way that we are, putting protective factors in our lives, because we know what the risk factors are, poverty and all kind of outside situations that are oftentimes out of our control, which we were just discussing. Right. But let's talk about how to build those protective factors. So in this situation, what kind of protective factors would you use, or would you even encourage other people to use if you have it in you?
Yeah, I mean, I always, I am somebody who is supportive of therapy, talk therapy. I'm also, even though I'm newly married and very happy, I'm coming out of a decade-long abusive relationship that led me with a lot of mental health issues. I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. So I had been seeing a counselor for that, which was good. And but unfortunately, with mental health care access, I actually wasn't able to continue my insurance and wasn't able to continue my therapy. Unfortunately, that's a situation a lot of folks are in. But luckily, I still have a prescription to treat that, and that helps a lot. That helps me get out of bed. Quite literally, there was a time when I had such high levels of anxiety and depression that I couldn't get out of bed, which is really weird for me because I am out there. I am ready to go.
How long ago was this?
That diagnosis came in late 2020.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So while a lot of folks were struggling.
And in 2021, I love to share this story. In 2021, I took that step and I started on a antidepressant. And I tell people all the time, it has been an absolute game changer for me. Even working in the field of mental health and with mental wellness, I had this idea like, man, I don't want to be the one to take medication, just contributing to that stigma or because of stigma. But again, just trying to treat mental illness with the same level of seriousness that we would any physical illness.
Right.
Talk to your doctor, because it is not always like people throw out, go to therapy as if it's accessible,
Right.
as if it's cheap, as
Right.
if everybody is just able to get connected so quickly and easy.
Right.
And that's simply not the case. So there are agencies out there that will take payments on a sliding scale, but nevertheless, when you cannot access that mentorship, friendship, how much of a protective factor has friendship? Speaking of friendships, hi Crystal, good morning. Hi Cindy.
Yeah, Crystal and Cindy. Let's
Speaking of friendships,
Sarah's in, so we're gonna scoot.
Yeah,
scoot
Sarah, you in the
in.
middle today.
How we doing this?
Good.
Can my hat fit in this morning?
Ooh, yes, honey.
Okay.
Okay, so when Sarah walked up, we got some hearts on the screen. Okay.
Hi, I
That's
love
what
you
I'm
guys
talking
too.
about. Yeah. So we just talking about our mental health. I walked in and I could feel it on my sister Cindy.
I'm
I could
down.
feel it.
Oh,
And
That
that
financial
hat,
hardship.
she said a hat. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
thank you.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Just come in and just,
And you guys had some great pictures from the hat party with Lee Pitts.
Oh, shout out to Lee Pitts,
Yes.
Mad Hats event. It was cute. Why weren't you there, Cindy?
Yeah, where were
So
I
we
didn't
talking
told you
about
why.
we talking
Wait,
about
Because I
Wait,
owe Lee
I'm-
money.
Oh shit!
you owe Lee money for
I
what?
can't go nowhere. I ain't got no money in my bank account. I got no money to pay campaign debts. I'm in
Lee will-
dire
Lee-
straits
Lee
here.
will
I can't even
probably
go to the hat party.
Lee will probably still want you at his
Yeah,
party.
I don't
He
know,
would.
man. He's kind of
Y'all
upset
can
with
settle-
me. Sorry, Lee. I
Really?
love you. It's not that I don't want to pay you. It's just that
No, that
I'm broke as fuck.
You are funny. Yo, we're keeping it 100%
Yes, we-
real on this show.
always.
But yeah, man, talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid to step out, because when I tell you, for the first time in my life, I felt myself. I felt well enough to tackle the issues in my life. It doesn't, there's a lot of misconceptions about SSRI, antidepressant. Oh, I don't want to be a high all the time. I don't want to, it doesn't work like that.
No.
But educate yourself. Lexapro. Look into Lexapro.
That's the one I'm on.
I need to be working for Lexapro, because I talk about Lexapro. So Lexapro
Sponsorship.
You need to
needs
start getting
to-
that cut.
Sponsorship.
Lexapro needs to break that bread, because the way I talk about it. But yeah,
Well,
it's
a lot
been
of
game
people
changer.
are on it because it's not, it's not as heavy, I think, as some of the other
and
interventions.
it's highly effective.
Yeah, I mean, it
Well,
really.
is it for you?
I mean, for me, it was the difference between, because I guess like I'm a functional depression, depression and
You
anxiety
function
person.
well with depression and anxiety. A lot of us do.
Right.
But you even mentioned to the point where one time you couldn't get out of bed.
Oh, I mean, all the time. I would literally see, but like I'm very driven by like my responsibilities. So it's like I would get up in the morning, I would drop my kids off at school, and then I would come back to bed.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I think it's so different for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
depression truly, even, clinical diagnosed depression, rather than just, because we all have our moments, right?
Right.
But there's a difference between somebody who has major depressive disorder as well.
Right.
And I think the treatment can be different for everyone. I too did some time on antidepressants.
Mhm.
They did not work for me long term, but I did find other solutions. So
Okay.
things like not drinking. Like that's something
Right.
that I practice, because drinking can be a depressant. So
Yep. Yeah.
I just avoid it altogether.
Absolutely.
I think everyone just has to kind of find their own path there,
Yeah.
but never be afraid to seek help or take medication. It's
Absolutely.
not a
Right.
weakness.
Absolutely.
In fact, sometimes to put that off, I mean,
Yeah.
it can be life changing.
Yeah, they say the average time that it takes a person from the onset of experiencing a mental illness to the time they seek treatment is, guess how many years? 10 years.
Ooh.
7 to 10 years does it take. So imagine you had an infection in your body
Yeah.
and you ignored it for 7 to 10 years. The effects can be devastating. So what can start out as depression or anxiety can easily turn into other things. And so
Right.
get around people. Friendship is truly essential to the soul. That's one of the mottos of one of the fraternities. But I love you guys this morning.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Yeah, I love you all
And love
too.
all our folks. out there. Yes, thank
I
you.
love this morning talk
Yes.
on the importance of protecting our mental health. Yes. Hey, Crystal. Why are you not here sometimes,
I
Crystal?
know.
But anyway,
Come join us.
Yeah.
Have a beverage.
And Cindy too. So, and some good links being put in there. And I think it's really, I will say too, for the folks who are in the activist space, I think that this is also important. I've talked about this several times, is the
Right.
self-care
For sure.
too.
For sure.
I think we talked about it last week. Though Rebecca and I talked about it on Misinformational, but because those of us that are fighting, I know some folks have been in Tallahassee. I'm going to Tallahassee to lobby next week myself. There are people who are, whether you're fighting as a student or against gun legislation or on the trans attacks.
Or against Trump coming into Fort Myers
Trump coming
tonight.
into Fort Myers.
That.
So I'm actually coordinating that.
Okay, tell us
give us
what your
the
motivation
details.
is. So former President Donald J. Trump will be in Fort Myers doing a fundraiser this evening, and I actually have a work event. I sent my friend Michael Thompson a text. I said I want to go to the Trump event. I did tell him that, and he told me to call him around 1. But Cindy, I won't be there because I have a work event downtown. And I want to go
Sorry,
to that.
Donald Trump. Chantel
So
won't
it's
be
actually
there.
it's a
He'll
local.
miss out. He'll catch me next time, but I got other stuff to do.
So this is actually it's called the Lincoln Reagan dinner.
Yeah.
It's a regular event for Republicans here. I think it is actually a fundraiser for the local Republican Party.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the speaker, but also Roger Stone is going to be there. On top of Greg Steube, Congressman from Florida 17, Byron Donalds, Florida 19, that's here in downtown Fort Myers. 17 is the other side. Actually, that's yours.
That's me.
North Fort Myers, Lehigh,
Charlotte
both
County.
of whom have supported Trump's nomination for president or his presidency candidacy. And it's going to bring out, and always does every year, all of the local Republicans here in Southwest Florida. So, but Donald Trump being the draw is got a lot of people agitated or excited, annoyed.
Yeah, it's a lot of feelings,
A lot of
going
feelings.
on, a lot of emotions. But you chose to.
So the angle that I'm working with and gathering people today is to save our democracy.
Okay.
So to demand accountability for the January 6th
Okay.
insurrection and the perpetration of the election lie. And that's the angle, really saving our democracy. But it's a call to anyone who is wanting to come and let their voice be heard, that will be in a position where hopefully some of the folks entering the event will be able to see us and see our signs. We'll be away. We're not looking for altercations.
Right.
But you can call for accountability on January 6th. You can ask our congressman not to be a January 6th apologist, which he is. And
Tell me about that, Jen, because we'll get to the congressman. But tell us about being an apologist. What?
I mean, Byron Donalds went to a place where some January 6th participants are being incarcerated, and then came out on cable news and was talking about them like, oh, they're political prisoners, and oh, it's they're not getting this fair treatment, and him and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Did you hear the conversation with him and Representative Bowman? Sarah and I were talking about it yesterday. What's your thoughts on that?
Schooled him like I've schooled him before.
I think it was an excellent. I told Sarah I think it was an excellent conversation. I think I did not know that Congressman Donalds and Congressman Bowman were friends until Sarah told me yesterday. But I think it was an excellent conversation. I think they are each other's match, but.
Byron's a friendly guy. So it's very easy for him, I think, to make friends. I think, unfortunately, that's what makes him a very effective mouthpiece for some of these issues, when he can say, hey, look, if I can make it out of impoverished situations, then so can you. Well, let's ignore the fact that he impregnated a rich white girl while he was married to somebody else. It's a pretty expedient way to the top, frankly.
I mean, I'm trying to do the same. What's what
I said. Listen, it's so
You're trying to do
effective.
the same
The path to Congress by marrying a rich white girl is so effective.
Shout
I've been
out to
considering it myself.
Shout out to the rich white girls. I mean, point me in the direction because I need to, so I can't be mad at.
I mean, listen, John
Put
McCain
that
did
out
it.
there.
I can't
Chantel is searching out
I can't
a rich white girl. So
Everybody,
you're out
Crystal's
there.
trying to do it. Everybody.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's the way to the top. So
I
I mean, but so that's not fair, is what I'm saying. It's like there's no bootstrap pulling. Unless you're pulling the bootstraps off. I don't know, but
Well, I will say this, despite the fact that I am not a fan of Byron Donalds, his policy, his position on almost every issue, and I do believe that Representative Bowman definitely schooled him, and you could feel the passion exuding from Rep Bowman, which, Chantal and I were having a conversation, and she asked me, do you believe Byron? Do you believe that is really how he feels? And I said, to be honest, no. I've watched him in several interviews, and I don't think he has the passion to back up the position he's been schooled on. So
say, for example, when he spoke about schools, the funding for schools, you were telling me that who was that challenged him and asked him, okay, well, you're making these statements, but what actions are you taking? Was it in Black communities?
For the Black communities,
okay.
Yes. Roland Martin.
Okay, yeah, Roland.
Yeah, and Roland Martin pulled no stops on him. He kept pressuring him to really answer the question. And it's like, outside of this very specific dialogue that you see many people just repeating the same thing, when it comes to getting to the root of issues and actually talking about how someone feels about that policy, there's nothing there. Does that make sense?
oh yeah,
So it's just the script.
And I love the part where Bowman was like, I don't know who you represent, Congressman, what type of people you represent, but then he went on to list the people in housing projects that he represents. And I think that was such a moment for Byron to just pause and be like, all right, whose voices am I echoing? Am I
the rich white Naples people?
Am I amplifying? Like, is that proven? Like,
what, that he's a sellout to the rich white Naples people? Oh hell yeah!
Corporations,
Dick
period.
Uline is got a house. He's a billionaire in Naples. Club for Growth is where he's funneled his money. He funneled $3 million into Byron's primary campaign in 2020. He is bought and sold by corporate America.
And again, all this was started by the rich white girl thing.
Yeah, because he was married to a Black woman.
Okay.
Got Erica pregnant on the side. Told Bisa that she needed a divorce. Got a divorce, and a month later, picket fence in Naples, baby.
Well, I will say this though, and this is where I was coming in to be devil's advocate. Byron is a well-spoken man. He's well-spoken. He is intelligent. However, again, he lacks principle. He lacks the
Speaking
values.
of lacking principle, the only reason he gives a shit about school choice is because his wife makes a ton of cash off of it. She runs a foundation that builds charter schools across Florida to the tune of 11% in perpetuity back to her organization. It's called the Optima Foundation. It's very well documented. You can look into it. In fact, his work in the legislature here in Florida opened that route. So there's a direct line between Byron's work in legislation and his wife and his family's bank accounts. Because if they weren't able to do that, they wouldn't have been able to take public school dollars, put them into charter schools, and then funnel that back into the Optima Foundation.
That's what we were just talking about too. Like, the Republican agenda and the idea of conservatism and the lack of big government is really just code for big business. We're going to let big business run things, and we're going to privatize everything. But then what happens is citizens lose the protections guaranteed by the government.
Exactly.
So you don't have those same protections with corporations. So that's the problem, and that's how discrimination's allowed to creep in and things like that. And people don't realize
don't have that oversight.
You don't have that oversight, and deregulation.
But speaking of principals in schools, God darn it, before we continue, so we got a video circulating, and I don't know, Crystal, Cindy, whoever else is faithful with us on these Friday mornings. I don't know if you've seen this video circulating of a substitute teacher and a young lady, child, getting into it over a cell phone. Now, you know, when you edit this, you're gonna have to put that clip up.
That's
because
fine.
we have to put this clip in.
We need to be able to like do that behind us somehow.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a big
live show is
projector.
complicated.
No, what?
yeah,
Can we
yeah.
just share our screen?
But we can put it into the video afterwards.
So a lot of people have seen it, but just go on any social media site, wherever, and say substitute teacher fights this girl. So I watched that video because there is so much debate and back and forth about who was wrong and who was not wrong. So I do think the student initiated that situation, that physical altercation, and Cindy just wants to say, it's just
That was
all
the
the
teacher's
teachers.
fault.
How is it the teacher's fault? First of all, now y'all gotta go see this video. How is it the teacher's fault? And then watch Libra here. Look, watch Libra come and be like, "Well, I can see how both
that's
people."
already what's going on
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
mind.
you're like,
It
I
is,
can
it
see
is.
how both people are.
But let Cindy talk about it.
Go ahead,
first.
Okay.
Cindy. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because listen, you're the adult. You're the adult in the room,
Oh, Lord.
and you have to understand how to engage with the children and the youth in the classroom, and you have to hold yourself. And keep in mind, I'm a university professor, and I've been a K-12 teacher, both in after school and classroom settings. So I say this from a teacher's perspective, that the teacher has to be the adult in the room 100% of the time. It is never acceptable for a teacher to get into a physical altercation where they're hitting, like,
But the
in that
child
case.
hit her first.
That's okay. It
So-
doesn't matter.
So if you were a substitute teacher and a child just came and whacked you, you would be like, "All right." What
no,
would you do?
I would. Let's be clear.
Because and we say
I'm a
child.
professional boxer.
Listen, when we say a child, it looks like maybe a high school.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I
It's-
thought it
it's
looked
high
like a middle
school.
school student.
Middle.
I
See,
thought high
Cindy,
school.
you always
I said middle
You
school.
be trying to get away with that willy nilly. But listen,
That child to me looked about 11 to 12 years old.
no way.
Really?
Yeah.
Cindy just do too
Why
much.
you
Now
trying-
y'all gotta go see
Now
the
you
vid-
gotta see
You
it.
gotta see it. That child looked about
You were trying
16.
to adultize that
She-
child. That is a
she's-
child.
She's 16. The child is 16. And so basically, she's pissed off that her teacher is taking her phone.
Mhm.
First of all, our teachers go through so much. And this is a substitute teacher. For some reason, the real teacher don't even want to be there. I don't know where they was at. But we got the substitute in there trying to just work it out. And she took the child's phone. Like, I've had my phone taken when I was in high school. It's just a thing, right? And the child is like, "No, I ain't having that." So the child is like, "Yo, what's
Push
up?"
on.
Got
It wouldn't
the
have happened
teacher-
in my classroom.
See,
Because
that's
I've
that
been in that
perfect
classroom.
world.
Listen, it's not a perfect world. I actually, when I was working in elementary schools in Lansing, Michigan, they gave me the worst students. The ones that had all the discipline problems. They're like, take these kids and do something with them. And I did. I never got in a physical altercation. I never got in any sort of problem with those youth at all. And it has everything to do with how you approach those youth and what do you do.
So
She
you
was wrong.
No, but you definitely got to watch the video, and then don't worry, because Libra gonna wrap it up. But I feel grace for the teacher, and I think this is a good opportunity for so many conversations. Like, all of these discussions are good opportunities for us to expand, right? So we talk about respect. Teachers deal with so much, and overwhelmingly, we are seeing fights break out in classes. We are seeing teachers being just, getting their ass beat and all kind of stuff like that. And we do have to emphasize a general respect for those in authority.
Right, but it's two ways. Listen, you can apply this to authority with police officers.
Look at her.
too.
She is
You
like
can apply this in the
squirming
same way.
back
It is
there.
never acceptable for a police officer to use deadly force, right? Unless their life is being threatened. And that is not even coming close to the situation we are here right now. So how can you say that it's acceptable for a teacher who's the authority figure to
I just said the
engage
child was
in that type of situation?
Well, but I think the woman was defending herself.
I think
the
that she
woman
was out of control. She was out of control. She was slapping back.
Don't worry about
She
it.
was doing all this
Everybody,
stuff. No, it wouldn't happen to
Go
me.
look it up.
And I know it
because-
wouldn't have.
Yeah,
because
we'll
it never
put the
has.
clip in the comments. Here's the thing. Here's
Cindy-
the thing. The girl did put
I don't
her
have that
hands on
problem.
the teacher first,
Yep.
right? And really, for me,
she was just like ram to the teacher.
right. And the teacher kind of blocked her. And now, what I can see, and this is where I'm going to be devil's advocate and say they're both a little bit wrong, but you also got to take human nature into account.
Sure.
So I think that the teacher definitely had to physically restrain the girl.
Yeah.
Because she was coming at her.
And that she did.
The part that I think she took it too far is when she did have her on the ground before she pinned her. she threw in some punches. That was, she could have restrained her without, you saw like 3-4 jabs she gave the girl.
Well-
And I don't know how old the girl is. In any case, she is a child. She is a student.
She
But-
is a child. She's a student.
So
but
that's where I think she went wrong in throwing those punches.
She lost her
Right.
job. She said she's leaving that profession. I don't know if the school fired her or what,
I'm sure.
but she's saying now
They should have
she's
just fired her for not wearing any drawers.
Yo, that's the part.
Who goes into school and the teacher doesn't wear any underwear?
So now the
Come
teacher
on
is on the
now.
ground squabbling and fighting with this child, and all you see is these cheeks. And I mean, it's such a distraction because we can't even focus on the issue at hand. Like, imagine trying to be outraged and then bam, all that booty just jiggling. It's part of that distraction. It could be Russia behind all of this.
Oh my
really.
God. And listen,
But-
I gotta
Always
go walk my kids to school, so we can't even get into that today. But I will tell you this: if you want to come and express yourself about what the legislators are doing, because they're going to be there today, and if you want to protest Donald Trump, if you want to protest criminals like Roger Stone walking around, come meet us 5 p.m. outside the amphitheater in Centennial Park this evening. There'll be a group of friends. You'll see this around. And if you want to have a teaser, we'll talk about this next week, I promise. But if you want to see about the Russian influence and the connections to January 6th and local politicians here in Southwest Florida, check out the thread that I posted on my Twitter and my Instagram, because I got receipts in it. Not only do we got photo receipts, but I got stories and articles that corroborate that takeover. And read it, and then let's talk about it, because I don't want to come in with the only one with information. But I
Yeah.
got to go walk them kids to school.
Yeah.
Just take this and I'll meet you
And
after.
we about to
Okay.
go. We about to go in a little while too, because I got to be on time for work. My boss ain't having it. But yeah. Dang, Cindy, I was gonna say something, and you just
What were you gonna say? Tell
I
me.
forgot. That's the thing. Oh, Dunbar High School. So Sarah
Yes.
and I going to Dunbar High School to support the little babies. A lot of notifications went out last night saying show up at Dunbar High School. I went there this morning to drop off something for a student, and they were preparing. I saw the news media out there. So
Really?
shout out to the students for bringing
Yes.
awareness.
Yes.
And Crystal, are you going to the Dunbar High School walkout?
She
Crystal,
says
where
yes.
are you?
Walk out in Dunbar High.
Yes, all right. Yeah, we need all this support for our babies. And I was just so proud of the child. He's involved in student government at Dunbar High School. And these children are bringing awareness. They're learning themselves, because even the students that aren't aware, guess what? They're going to mess around and find out today.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that young lady did, that substitute child. That is something, because I do think we gotta emphasize respect for authority. I do believe in that. You know, I used to go to respect for law camps when I was younger. City of Fort Myers Police Department.
You did?
Yes, absolutely. I was a police explorer, proud police explorer. And I used to go to Respect for Law camp, and those camps are for needy and deserving children. And I had an opportunity to go there, and I get it. You already know what we're up against when we talk about police brutality. Like, we talk about those things all the time, but those kids will be our salvation. Yeah. So we just gotta, I don't want to use the word, forget my churchy terminology, but I'm tempted to say we just need to pray for those kids, but we need to engage those kids and continue to be guides and mentors so that they can show up in the world and be their best selves. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But you know what? I think, like I say this all the time, is that this generation of youth coming up, they amaze me all the time, because I'm in college right now, so I'm with the youth all the time, and they leave me in awe so much of the time, because they're so open, they're so compassionate, and even when they're unaware of like political things, the way they live their lives and express themselves are different than I think we've ever seen in any generation before.
Their hearts are softened in a way. They're intelligent. They're far more intelligent than I was when I was their age. Yeah, thank you, Crystal, for putting that link in there. Shout out to everybody who engages with,
we
with
love
us.
it.
This makes such a difference.
Somebody said these kids will be our, or those kids will be our salvation.
Will be
You're
our
right.
salvation, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see. We got to encourage our babies. We have to mentor our babies, love on them, and that's it. That's life.
And you know, I don't think that these politicians that are pushing things so far really knew what they were messing with this generation, because
Yeah.
I feel like they're coming out, they're going to make us
Listen,
proud,
I
and you're
said
right,
that
they will
about
be our
Gen Z.
salvation.
Gen
Yeah.
Z does not mind calling you out. Now, we
True.
talk about this when we talk about cancel culture. I do believe that cancel culture deserves to be challenged in and of itself. Because oftentimes it doesn't leave a lot of room for redemption, for grace, for forgiveness, for growth, for expansion, because we all have a starting point. We all have a past. We all have whatever the case may be. Now, some people deserve to be canceled, like, bruh, your life
Right.
and legacy. I can't even
Well,
hear
and
an R. Kelly song no more without thinking about the legacy that he's left us with and the
Right.
reputation. So I can be jamming it, and I'm like, damn, now I'm thinking about protecting young girls or
Yeah.
empowering kids to feel as though they have autonomy over their lives.
Right. Well, and the thing is everything gets like umbrellaed under cancel culture, and not
Yeah.
everything is canceling. I mean, there are those genuine cancellations where we're like, whoa, let's have some discussion here, because there may be a chance for redemption. But then there are other situations that aren't actually being canceled. It's being held accountable.
Absolutely.
And that's where
that's what's
we need,
missing.
Yes.
That's why I
Accountability
appreciate
is
these kids,
necessary.
because call it out. Let's discuss it. Let's lay it out. Let's put it on the table, because so many people are going unchallenged when they need to be challenged because of the positions that they hold, because of the influence that they hold. And so I think it gives us an opportunity to constantly check ourselves, check our biases, check our behaviors. We have to be it does start with self. It doesn't start with government and systems. It starts with the self, and we're responsible for one another. I don't know. I'm feeling it's this new coffee they gave me this morning. They say it's new and they only have it on weekends. Did you get your coffee?
I have a chai this morning. I do a chai once I get here. I have my coffee at home.
Seed and Bean says this is some Costa Rican special blend that they only serve on the weekends.
Does it have you feeling
it just
jittery?
I'm here. It's not I'm jittery. I'm just here, and I'm in love this morning.
You are?
With you
You're
all.
full of love?
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I want to spread love, and that's what I need, because I must show myself as a lover, and I want to receive love. And it's a new day, Sarah, for me.
I love it.
It's a new day.
Love.
It's a new day. Holding space for my friend Cindy, who dropped the mic on us and left. But she was
like,
feeling,
I'm out.
She was feeling so heavy this morning, and I know that is what a lot of people are experiencing for different reasons. Cindy, like, politically, it is enough to drown you. And you have to figure out how to swim out of that, catch your breath,
right?
And so that you can be better equipped to come to the battlefield. Okay,
right.
Tennille.
Good morning. That's my sister.
Of course. See, that's that sister love. Mind you, my mom and my brother ain't got up not one morning, not a single morning. Tennille is up and at
Mama D supports you.
She
all the
support
time.
me, but it ain't finna be at this show right here. Let me share this live video real quick.
Oh, I didn't even share it. I'm late today. I haven't been feeling good. Hence the hat. I had to just throw the hair back, run out the house.
Good, but come in looking so fabulous. You don't look like what you've been through, honey. I will say that. Thank you. I will say that. But
and I'll say too, last week we were talking about hope and how you have to keep that hope alive, and how this generation is instilling that hope in us.
Right.
But, I found myself getting a little down this week too, because you know what I did? I messed around and read some comments.
Ooh, girl, I
stay out the comments.
No, I break my ankles trying to get to that comment section, honey.
I never do. Like, and not even on my own post, because I don't really get negative comments on my own post, but on some stuff that was posted by politicians about expanding the Don't Say Gay protocol in Florida.
Okay.
And I went in those comments, and sometimes when there's hate being spewed, it can really begin to wear you down. But I rebounded from that, and I thought, again, I have to embrace that hope, because that's what keeps us going, and that compassion that maybe these people just don't understand. That's what I try to keep in mind, rather than because if it's a lack of understanding, there can be a breakthrough.
Right.
And I think that we all, despite the fact that some of the things that people are saying are so hateful, I think we have to try to keep in mind that hate is coming from ignorance.
Lord,
and there's
mercy
always a way
trauma.
to break through that. Yes.
See, there you go. See, Sarah, what did they must have put the same stuff in your chai too. Because I feel it. It's like you have to overshadow. You have to look at the deeper trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
the question was asked, well, why are people so afraid of a political party taking over, or this group or this group?
Mm-hmm.
Why are people so afraid of change? And they are not afraid of change. They are afraid of loss. Like people are afraid of losing whatever it is that
Even
they
if it's
feel
their own
like,
conception.
absolutely. And that needs to be nurtured. We just have to be more engaging. I challenge everybody, reach out across those aisles. That helps kind of
Yes.
calm that thing down too, because we're looking at people and we're like, the internet can be a terrible place. The comment sections, I live for the comment sections on some of these popular posts, because I truly want to know how people feel.
Right.
But these are real people that we're engaged with, not machines. We do need to balance. Shout out to Elizabeth. I mean, I love y'all this morning, man. Don't worry.
You know what? That's funny that you mentioned that, because my wife has had a few conversations just in a week with people that have come in as clients into our tattoo shop who have very, very different political views.
Right.
And she, on the internet, she can be a little bit savage with these political arguments.
Right.
But she had these people in her chair having discussions.
Imagine having a needle to somebody's arm and they disagreeing with you
politically. No, but the conversations were beautiful. They ended up coming to a point where they saw,
there it is,
where the other was coming from. And there were breakthrough moments where this man was like, oh, I didn't realize like this policy was so harmful to you. Like,
Right.
so there were these moments where if it's in person and face to face, you can see people's humanity. On the computer,
absolutely,
you're just typing.
And
you don't see that.
And it's really true. That saying, it's harder to hate up close.
Right.
But I think in general, people are fearful that people are going to come and attack them. So Cindy says it's hard to have balance when negative is all that is being generated from the other side. See, Cindy, and that's the thing. Like, when I be talking to the other side, they be talking about stuff that don't sound so hateful. I think, the media plays this role in putting out certain narratives, but we have a responsibility to ourselves to make efforts to interact. Yes, beautiful message. But this is what I want y'all to do. Cindy, check out this book called Love Your Enemies by Arthur Brooks. So a lot of people know me. I have quite moderate views. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I'm not as liberal as people may think or assume, because of what I've stood for in terms of Black Lives Matter, against police brutality, that movement. People kind of assume you're automatically one of them, and that's another mistake we make,
putting each other in boxes.
But this book was so healing for me politically. Love Your Enemies by Arthur Brooks, because it talks about, and I've talked about it on this show before. Again, these people need to be paying me. Arthur Brooks, run me my coins.
Get them checked.
Lexapro, run me my coins, because I'm out here spreading the message. All right.
Yes.
But nevertheless, that book talks about how much contempt we hold for the other party. Right. And it is so easy to get sucked into when you feel like you're under attack. And there is this attitude of arrogance that comes from our government. It doesn't feel as though it feels like violence. It feels like there's an attitude of disdain and disregard. And I know it's a new wave. We got a lot of Florida politicians that kind of,
there is some hate out there. I mean, to be fair, there is some hate spewing out there, but I'm sorry. I think it does sometimes go both ways. And I think that's what, even with cancel culture,
here with my neighbor.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is hate being spewed. There are extremists. However, that is a smaller, that's a smaller portion than what's being portrayed.
So I'm going to ask you a question right here, right now. We're going to settle it.
Let's settle it.
Is America a racist country?
Ooh, really?
That's the question.
Yeah, structurally it is. Absolutely.
So if you go abroad and they say, tell me about America, is it a racist country? But you don't got time to explain the structural stuff. You're just going to say yes or no. You're going to say yes. America is a racist country.
Do you believe that people of color in America have the same opportunities as white people in America?
Is this even a question? Yes, it is a question. Yes, this. Okay, not y'all all agreeing with Sarah, but no. Yeah, that's an absolute question, because that's another. I follow a lot of Black conservative movements, right?
Mhm.
And they ain't trying to be, fit in with nobody, but how do we feel about our fellow Americans, right? So structurally, I like how you broke that down, saying structurally,
'Cause that-
yes, we've seen it. Like
Mhm.
we
Proof's in the pudding.
America was built on the back of the enslaved, and historically, even to this day, we see how the Negro, not just here in the United States of America, but the darker brother around the world, experiences those disparities.
Right.
However, if you go into your coffee shops, if you go into your local diners and all of this stuff, the people that you meet and interact with, would you say, yeah, this is a racist country? The people, just the regular day-to-day interactions.
That's a broad state. Do I experience it? Do I
you
witness it?
Do you hear about it?
I witness it.
Do you feel like people just wake up and be like,
do.
God damn it, I hate those
No,
bleeps?
no, it's not as blatant as that anymore.
It's not as blatant as that anymore. And so is that indicative that people just, in large part, I do believe that people mean well. I think definitely we spend so much of our time, and again, this is me just trying to swim us away from that zone of despair and feeling as though the world is just such an awful place to live in. But hear me out though. I think that in general, a lot of people mean well who they vote for, because when you look at the Trump supporters, Republicans, they tend to all get grouped like we do into this one pile of, oh, you got a Trump sticker on your car, you racist piece of shit.
We got to stop doing that.
But
we got to stop doing that.
That's where we are, and we form these absolute narratives, and that's one of the ones I heard about. So whatever comes to me on social media, I'm bringing it to y'all, because if I'm exposed to it, y'all got to be exposed to it as well. And so that's the question: is America a racist country? Like, do you fear your life as a Black person coming to America? Well,
I'm not a Black person. I can't answer that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's,
do I fear for people
answer.
of color? Absolutely.
What do you feel? I've seen it, but prejudice goes both ways. I have mixed children, and the prejudice on both sides is real.
Prejudice.
You gotta speak.
Yes, speak, but prejudice goes on both sides.
Yeah.
Racism is a different thing. Racism, to be racist, there has to be a hierarchy.
Okay.
So to actually be racist means that you have to hold a higher position in society, because racism means that you have the ability to oppress. Okay. So when people say Black people can't be racist, Black people definitively cannot be racist because of what racism means. That's just based on the definition. If a Black person, prejudice, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so when a Black person feels as though they don't trust white people, when a Black person feels as though, that's just their prejudice.
That's a prejudice.
That's their prejudice. Okay, I got you.
And that's the thing. That's the thing when it comes to like the form that racism has taken in today's world, is more those implicit biases. When you see the way, and I witness it because I'm white, so I can see how other white people, because they'll react a little differently in front of other white people. They feel safer that way. And in fact, how many times I say, why do people think just because I'm white that I think like them?
That's true.
And I get so frustrated because the filter comes off when they're around other white people. And maybe that's why I have the perspective that I do. Right. Now, I don't think the overwhelming majority is out here ready to do harm. I don't believe that. But I believe that there are these ingrained, because of that structural relationship or racism, I believe that there's these ingrained ways of thinking, what our media has done, how they've portrayed Black people, how they portrayed people of color as being dangerous. Right. So I think there's these implicit biases that exist that we have to break down. But that doesn't work when white people keep saying, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I have 5 Black friends. Like, no, you have to be willing to address.
5 Black friends is a lot now. You ain't gonna act like 5 Black friends ain't. That's pretty heavy in the game. How about the 8-hour conversation you and I had in your kitchen, Sarah? 8 hours to break through.
Word.
Okay. Y'all got to tell us about the conversation. See,
man, that's a long one. That's a long one. It was a discussion about white privilege, because a lot of white people are very like turned off by that, because they're like, white privilege. I've had a rough life. I've suffered trauma. I've done this. I've done that. But so we had to have this conversation where I was breaking down the difference. Like, yes, as a white person, you can still experience trauma. You can still have a very rough life. You can still be impoverished. You can have all of these things. But when you go out in the world in a nation that is structurally racist, and you go out in the world, you don't have to face the same things that people of color have to face.
I
So
can
on
agree
top
with
of
that.
all of that trauma, you don't have to show up in the world just like me. I'm gay, so I get discriminated against in many
Okay.
ways, but I have the ability to go out in the world and people not know that I'm gay.
Right.
When you have Black skin or you are of color, you
Mhm.
can't hide that out in public.
Yeah.
And so there's inherent privileges just in walking through this world as a white person.
Mhm.
Even the most traumatized, impoverished
Yeah.
white person
And it's-
in
and
America
it's
still has
good.
privilege.
And there's Black privilege too. Charlamagne the God has a book called Black Privilege. I'm gonna be dropping these
Ooh,
books.
I need to
But yeah,
check that
there's
out.
so many different ways to look at this. I love these conversations on race because Sarah has become one of my closest friends, and the conversations within the race. I like talking about how those conversations within the family. Hold on, Cindy, because I don't want to read Cindy comment and then lose my train of thought. But what conversations are happening within the house about how we view ourselves, how we view patriotism in a country like America, and redefining patriotism so that we're not excluding ourselves
Right.
from accessing and leveraging our power. So the conversation goes on and on. So Byron representing Naples and oppressing people with less money isn't racist, makes no difference. He is oppressing the less fortunate in favor of the elite. Ooh, Cindy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking oppression, but we have to keep these terms where they belong. We have to, there are definitions like theoretical, what is the technical definitions that we have to abide by if we want to address the issues properly. So let's call things what they are. Racism is a very particular thing. Prejudice is a very particular thing. Discrimination is a very particular
Bias
thing.
is a
Oppression,
particular thing.
bias, implicit bias versus explicit bias.
Right.
So all of these definitions
Isms.
are isms.
Yeah.
They're important because they are able to describe different behaviors that I think we have to separate to
Right.
really get to the root of the problem.
A brother offended can never be won. I don't know what that means, but I want you to. But
Can we elaborate on that?
Yeah, let's elaborate on that. I think because I don't know, maybe Elizabeth is responding to one of the other comments, but nevertheless, these are chime in. I love how you all represent and speak on these things, but I really do encourage people to like look at heart and soul more. Sometimes I get so upset with Cindy because I'm like, I tell Cindy, I say, you think this political power is the only power, the only way to access power and control, and I think it starts. I don't know. I'm gonna go off on a tangent, so I'm gonna chill.
The main point here is that we cannot be afraid to have conversations. Don't just cancel somebody because they believe differently than you.
Yeah.
Try to get to the root of why, and you never know, you may make a breakthrough.
And you never know, you might see me at Donald Trump's event tonight, backstage. So I don't know, but
don't get caught up in any insurrections, please.
Look,
I'm just kidding. My friend is very intelligent.
No,
and my friend knows how to not get herself caught up.
Let's do it. Political power isn't the only power. See, Crystal know about that Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. She know how to connect to a different realm.
It's not the only power, but we have to address. And that's the thing. This is the main thing, and this is why we are still where we are as a nation, because we have to address these things across the board.
Yeah.
And we can't just take these little successes and say we've made it. We have to follow it all the way through. Run through the tape.
You got to pick up your cross and bear your cross. That's how the Christians would say it. In other words, take up your responsibility in this game of life. But it's 8:37.
We're running the tape through.
We are.
So
we gotta go.
Message of the week: go out and love somebody, even if they're different from you.
Be intentional. Be intentional. Matter of fact, that's y'all report. You got next week. I want y'all to type in the comment section a paragraph about your experience with somebody who is. I want
300-word essay.
If you're a Democrat, I want you to find the Trumpiest Trump you can find. And they be blinging too, because they proud, or whatever, and just try to start off with something. A lot of
Cutting off our show.
Okay, somebody see is
No,
all the
it's back. We're live.
interference.
I don't know what's going on. Listen, we
We
gotta
want to read Elizabeth's comment though.
Okay, we're never getting off here today, guys.
Yes, we are. I'm responding to the fact of how we delete her. You read it because it's making it.
I'm
seem-
responding to the fact of how we delete her message of racism or bias. A lot of people that are rejecting certain messages, it is because of the way they're being delivered.
Exactly.
So having dialogue,
Okay.
absolutely, Elizabeth.
So having dialogue without pointing fingers, and a brother offended can never be one.
Is scripture, they build walls. You are so right, and that's the
like
point.
that.
That's the message of the week.
Mhm.
Go out and talk to somebody. Go out and love somebody, and you. Guess what? I guarantee you, no matter how different you think they are from you, you will have something in common.
You think he a Trump supporter? Let's try to get him over.
Chantel, you're gonna be late. She's gonna be late for work. This is how it happens.
No, I want somebody to just randomly. We can start it here.
We need
but
to take this. We need to take this show to the streets.
On the road.
We got to take it on the road.
We do. All right, everyone. Show love.
That's okay, Elizabeth. We knew what you were saying, and we love the message.
But next week, we will see you all next week. Crystal,
Yes.
I may see you out in these. There's a lot going on. We're headed to Dunbar High School this morning just to support the babies.
This afternoon.
Well, yeah, this afternoon. We'll get there around 11:30. But I don't even know what'll happen, but we support them.
Of course we do. And we didn't do the drop of the week.
I came up with it last week because I added that Jen Joplin summertime. So what's your drop of the week?
It was going to be a Roots and John Legend song, but you know what? I think let's spice it up because today was a little bit peppy.
Yeah.
We're gonna take it back, but not as far back as Janis Joplin.
Okay.
Let's do "Can't Nobody Hold Me Down." Puff
Can't nobody
Daddy.
take my pride. Can't nobody hold.
We got to keep on moving.
I got to keep on moving. All right.
Look
Shout out
at
to Seed and B. Shout out to Cindy and
Thanks
love
for
you,
joining
Sarah.
us, everyone. I love you.
All right. Let's end this.